You have this wonderful speech on carbonomics. Talk a little bit about how will this impact the types of crops and the types of seeds that you would use to optimize your local soil. Now, how is this different in Florida than it is in Oregon?
So the concept of carbonomics, and it's a talk that I put together. I've given it all around the country and to several different parts of the world. And I think it's such an engaging way to talk about soil health because I compare what's going on in the soil with the economy of a country. And we talk about it from the supply and demand and currency and capital and infrastructure and energy and resources and defense. And all those things that we see happening and operating in the economy of a country, they're being mirrored with what's going on in the soil. And there's a very vibrant, active economy within the soil. And it's between the plants and the biology primarily, but the soil plays a part of it as well. And so that concept plays out in the fact that plants are creating root exudates. They're growing through photosynthesis, taking the carbon out of the atmosphere, the CO2 out of the atmosphere, and they're essentially selling it to all the biology because biology has to exist on carbon. It's their food source, but they can't photosynthesize. They can't create carbon. Only plants can do that. And then the biology brings all these services back to the plants. And so, from a local concept, and those principles apply to everywhere plants grow. Plants are going to photosynthesize. They're going to feed biology. The biology in return returns, all of these services and valuable products to the plants. So from a local perspective, what does that mean? Well, it means I'm going to grow the crops that make the most sense for my area. There's going to be some crops, because of my temperature, my rainfall distribution, some things are going to work better in my area than what would work in Montana or Texas or California. And they're going to have things that work best in their area. The principles are the same. We just have to figure out how do we apply those principles. But one of the main principles that we teach and we stress over and over again with soil health and regenerative ag is you have to keep a plant growing out there. If you are growing one crop and then there's 3 or 4 month fallow period before the next crop is growing, that fallow period is not letting the land rest. Contrary to what a lot of people think when they see just bare dirt out there, they think, oh, look at that. That farmer's really letting that land rest. Isn't that nice of them? There's nothing restful about that whatsoever because the only way the biology eats is through the plants producing that carbon root exudate through photosynthesis. The only way that soil gets protected is by having plants growing. If you can see the soil, there's a good chance it's going to wash away or it's going to blow away or it's going to get too hot or it's going to get too cold. The goal that we have on our farm, we never want to see our soil unless we go looking for it. We want to have to spread the plants apart. We want to have to move the residue from previous crops apart, and then we can see our soil because when you can see it, it's at risk. And so the whole concept of carbonomics is, in large part, it's bringing the biology back into the system. Again, the way that it would have been, generations ago, the way that it was designed to be created. The biology is driving so much of the nutrient processes that when we are farming without biology, we have to, and in the concept of economics, we have to give it a lot of welfare. And that's when we have to put the fertility, we have to put the crop protection out there. And I'm not advocating that we completely eliminate that. They're tools. All of these things, tillage, chemicals, all these things are tools, and different farmers are going to have different tools in their toolbox. But they all need to be used responsibly. They all need to be used the least amount possible because that's going to lead to profitability. And so that whole concept of carbonomics is going to have universal principles with very specific applications and that's the art form. The art form is, and there's some tremendously creative farmers, and we're so blessed to be able to work with many of them. They're very creative in how they take these principles and they apply them to their local area to really create some unique cropping systems. And the creativity of the American farmer is just really, really fun to see. And if you've never had a chance to work with some of these innovative farmers and producers, Just go find them, seek them out, find the ones that are direct marketing things to the consumer. They're going to be amongst the most innovative. They're just a pleasure and joy to work with.